We do have some breaking news for you tonight on the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. An Alaska television station, KTVA, scoring a scoop, a declaration in an interview to be aired in Alaska tonight from the senator who looks to be possibly the deciding vote for repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The ban on gay people serving openly in the U.S. military has been in place since 1993. The White House now contends that the way the statute was written and passed precludes the option of President Obama unilaterally stopping the policy by executive order. The White House has therefore advocated that Congress vote to repeal the ban. The House did just that in May, voting to allow the military to repeal the policy if a Pentagon study on repeal says it is feasible. That study's due in less than 2 weeks. Early leaks of its findings suggest the study will say repeal is feasible. In the Senate, an effort to pass a similar repeal failed when John McCain led a filibuster of the entire spending bill for the Pentagon in order to stop the Don't Ask, Don't Tell provision, which was attached as an amendment. To defeat John McCain's filibuster, 60 senators must vote to pass the defense authorization bill with the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell attached to it. Today, for the first time, signs that 60-vote threshold may have been reached.
Senator Collins and Senator Lugar have indicated in the last couple of days that they are prepared to vote for cloture to take up the defense authorization bill, including Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Senator Joe Lieberman at a repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell press conference today announcing 2 promised Republican votes in favor of repeal. You may notice in this camera angle here, the handsome bald guy standing just behind Senator Lieberman. Recognize him? U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach. You may have seen on this show last night. He's facing discharge from the Air Force because of this policy after 19 years of service, after combat deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan, after being awarded 9 air medals, including 1 for bravery. After Senator Lieberman made his announcement today about Republicans Susan Collins and Dick Lugar being willing to vote for repeal, we then learned from a preview broadcast on CNN that in an interview to be broadcast tonight in Alaska, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski says she, too, is willing to vote for a defense authorization bill that repeals Don't Ask, Don't Tell. By my layman's count, that means today, for the first time, there is a way to see this policy ending. That said, I don't necessarily trust my own counting. Joining us now is somebody whose counting I do trust, Senate producer Ken Strickland. Ken, thanks very much for being here tonight.
Good evening, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. With these 3 Republican pledges today, do you see a means of counting to 60 here to beat the filibuster and get this policy repealed?
Well, let's start with Senator Lieberman. He's been talking to people. He's been talking to people privately. I guess we have to take him at his word. But the one thing that he said specifically was that there would be 60 votes there if the process for bringing the defense authorization bill to the floor, that's the bill that has the Don't Ask, Don't Tell provision in it, if that was a fair and open process. You remember right before the elections, Senator Collins specifically, she voted no. She voted with the Republicans not to bring the bill to the floor because the process was not fair and open. So first and foremost, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid will have to convince Republicans when they bring this bill to the floor that it will be open. How open is a question, but that there will be a number of amendments that can be voted on and debated. Now, I did talk to somebody in Senator Murkowski's office about this interview, and there are a couple things they want to make sure that people understand, and that is that Senator Murkowski's view is that once she sees that report, she wants to make sure that the troops support it and that it does not hurt morale or recruitment. So there are basically 3 things that we need to watch to make sure Senator Reid and Joe Lieberman are right and that they have those 60 votes. First thing is, does that report get to Defense Secretary Gates on December 1st? And then how quickly does he get it to Congress? And what do they think of it? Carl Levin, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, has promised to hold hearings. Those hearings will be key. Who will come to those hearings and what will they say? And how will Republicans interpret what they hear? If, according to Lisa Murkowski's office, if they meet those tests, that the troops support and it doesn't hurt morale or recruitment, then there might be a path to 60. And of course, then there's the passage of this broad sweeping defense authorization bill and whether or not they can get that done in a manner that they can pass the overall bill. Rachel?
In terms of how you understand the calendar on this, Ken, if we've got that report coming in on time on December 1st, Senator Levin says he wants the hearings right away. In terms of a vote, as you point out, very importantly, Senator Lieberman today saying he wants a fair and open amendment process, and that's the condition on which Senator Lugar and Senator Collins are voting, are sort of offering their repeal votes here. if you've got a fair and open amendment process, if you've got the schedule that they've got set up for the lame duck process, can all of this happen before Christmas?
That's a good question. If you look at it if you listen to Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and the things that he's laid out that he wants to accomplish in this lame duck process, it's hard to see how that happens unless they stay in all the way through Christmas, all the way through New Year's, and all the way into February. It's a very ambitious list. And bringing a bill to the floor doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen quickly. Remember, the Defense Authorization Bill is a huge bill, hundreds of pages. Even when there's nothing controversial in it, it could take a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. So the question is going to be, is there political will between Democrats and Republicans to either shorten it down or to move through it quickly? That remains an open question. And what about the Bush tax cuts? What about a vote on immigration that Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid wants to have? The calendar gets smaller and smaller and smaller each time you add another provision that you want to vote on. Will he be able to manage the calendar in a way that Republicans can feel confident that the process will be fair and will be open?
Ken Strickland, Senate producer for NBC News. Ken, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Should mention two other senators' comments today that should be on the record as we consider this. Senator Udall today at that press conference with Senator Lieberman said that although right now the plan is for the Senate to adjourn in the lame duck session on December 10th, he said he personally would be happy to stay through Christmas Eve working on this in order to get it done. Should also be noted that the Washington Blade, which is a very good gay paper out of D.C., today is reporting, quoting the Stonewall Democratic Club of Southern Nevada, their communications director, saying that activists in favor of repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell met with staffers from Senator John Enson's office today, Republican Senator John Ensign of Nevada, and they say that his regional representative on military issues, a staffer named Margot Allen, assured them that John Ensign, too, would be willing to vote to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We've been trying to get confirmation of that right now, just being reported in the Washington Blade, but interesting. Joining us now here in studio is someone who knows the ins and outs of the Senate intricately, my friend Lawrence O'Donnell, host of The Last Word here on MSNBC. Lawrence, thank you very much.
Good to be here, Richard.
3 Republicans, maybe 4, now indicating they are on board to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Are these chickens not yet hatched, or is it time to start counting?
They are indicators of more to come.
Really?
You can, when you see Susan Collins moving in this direction, you can expect Olympia Snowe has a better than 50% chance of following. George Voinovich. You are at a number now of indicators that look like it's going to be easy to get over 60. It'll end up being over 60. It won't be that one of these Republicans will have to then be blamed as being the one who delivered this bill. They'll get over 60 in the way it's trending right now. Leaving aside for the moment all of that procedural stuff you just went through with Ken, that's the prohibitive factor right now, is how do you get it all done? You know, they stayed till just about Christmas Eve last year, so they know how to do this. Harry Reid made promises in order to get reelected. He got reelected by the skin of his teeth. He has a promise on bringing up the DREAM Act to the Latino community. He's got a promise on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He has got to deliver on these promises, and he knows that in these lame duck sessions. He's got to bring this up. And at the way it looks now, and you know, when this happens in the Senate, you get the feeling of, oh, it looks like we're going to make it, but you never know you've made it until they count the votes.
Blanche Lincoln and Mark Pryor both voted with the Republican filibuster on this before the election. They both raised procedural objections. Neither of them said it was an anti-gay vote. They said they were concerned about the way that amendments were handled. Joe Lieberman now calling for a free and open amendment process. For those of us who don't know the Senate intricacies enough and mostly just want to know whether that means this thing is going to pass, is a free and open amendment process a thing that is prohibitive to do in terms of time?
The truth is it's almost always a free and open amendment process, and that's why it takes forever to get anything done in the Senate. And so they don't really, neither side really wants a free and open amendment process. They want an amendment process that we agree on. You know, and on the healthcare bill, they agreed on an amendment process that was actually extremely negative to the Republicans tactically, and McConnell knew he was doing that. And so they will probably find an agreement that works on how to go forward with it, with amendments. The Murkowski break is very interesting because look at what her personal political calculation is. She just got reelected. I mean, literally last night.
Last night, yeah.
She knows, as she sits there today, if I have a political price to pay for this, it's 6 years from now. She's just been reelected for 6 years, and she's looking at this and saying, what is Alaska going to think of this issue 5 years from now if it goes away in basically, in January of 2011, if that goes away. And I think the reasonable prediction is Alaska isn't going to care.
Yeah. Lawrence O'Donnell, host of The Last Word, which airs at 10 p.m. Eastern. Your interview last night with Lisa Murkowski was great. And
Chris Hayes' interview with last night. It was my first night off.
And it was sort of weird to hear Chris's voice coming from the corner over there.
I loved it. He did very well for us, so I can take more nights off.
Oh,
that's all I care about.
Thank you, Lawrence. Really appreciate it.
I'm just going to hang for the rest of the show, and then I'll just do my show from right here.
We serve cocktails in the C block.
Great. Okay.